Alrighty, so we got the cockpit finished up. Got the pilot all done. Turned out pretty good. Just got the canopy glued on. Turned out really nice. It fit really well. So I'm glad I made my own. The Freewing one, aside from being a little small, was also, they're not the clearest canopies out there. So anyways, nothing too crazy, just a little extra detail in the model. It's really smooth. So anyways, it fit real nice. I just need to mask off the canopy now and then just do a little bit of filler around the seam just to kind of help blend it in. It always makes it look a little bit nicer, but pretty happy with it. Not too shabby. So last thing I need to do on the airplane is make a battery tray. So I'm going to double check the CG, but I'm pretty sure the pack's going to probably end up against the wall here because the added weight of the pilot and canopy and everything else will probably, being that far ahead of the CG, would make a decent difference. So anyways, I'm going to put a battery tray in here. It'll probably be most of this bay. Just in case I want to run a smaller pack, I can move it farther forward. But I'm glad my eyeball calculations worked out because, you know, it's always hard to guess where you're going to end up with the packs. And I kind of spaced everything fan-wise and everything else, hoping that this is where the battery would end up, and it did. So, and then I think I already showed the test area on paint I did earlier. All right, so battery tray, a little bit of Bodywork, sand this thing, and then I think it's ready for the base colors. And then we're gonna get to the afterburners at some point. I got to finish sanding this too. I had to cut open the bottom of the airplane last night because the servo extension I used for one of the elevators decided to stop working all of a sudden. So I was doing like final checkouts before I attached the stabs, and the one servo wasn't working. And because this is one of those models where I didn't build in a bunch of hatches and stuff for strength and weight and looks, I couldn't get to the servo leads. They're in the middle next to all the fans and everything else. So anyways, I had to cut it open. So I got to finish touching that back up before we paint it, obviously. But yeah, that's where we're at. All right, so one of the things I like to do is paint my canopy frames black before I paint them any other color. That way when you see them from the outside, the inside looks black instead of random colors that you've painted over the frames. So I went ahead and did that after I did a little filler around it to clean it up a little bit, and then I've painted the radome. I'm going to mask that off, and then we'll sand everything else real light and shoot some silver on this thing. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to start with the dark blue, then let that dry, mask all that off, and then shoot the silver. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so we got the blue sprayed. Once this is all dried, I will mask it off, and then I will wet sand most of the overspray off, smooth everything out, and then shoot the silver. But this is Rust-Oleum Midnight Blue, and it's kind of like a matte blue when it dries. It's just about the right color, so it goes down nice and covers really well as well. It's 2 times paint if you've ever used Rust-Oleum. Alright, so I just got done spraying the silver on the bottom. Wet sanded the whole thing really quick, cleaned it up, and shot the bottom. The blue overspray areas definitely needed extra silver. It didn't cover nearly as well as I remembered it covering. So anyways, a couple of coats in the bottom, and once this thing's dry, we'll flip it over, shoot the top, and that'll be it. Just a quick shot outside. Definitely has a pretty awesome metallic shine. In fact, this would make a great paint for anyone looking to do a natural metal finish on a model. It's pretty nice, actually. Sweet. Well, there you have it. It's not too bad. Unfortunately, I didn't really wait long enough for the blue to cure. It felt dry when I first started to mess with it, but you can see it left like a tape texture on it from the tape glues. Probably softened up the paint, and so I'm letting it sit out in the sun. Maybe some of the solvents that are left in the blue can come out and kind of help get rid of that effect. But overall, I mean, it should look cool once the decals are on it. Alright, so there we have it. I started putting decals on it. Not fully finished yet. I got one more red stripe over here, and then I got to do everything on the other side and in the bottom. Overall, super happy with it, aside from how the tape left marks in the paint, and you can kind of see them right there. You can actually see where the tape was, and there you go. Now you can get a good idea of what it looks like. From certain angles, you don't really notice it. I might Scotch Brite the blue and then clear the whole thing once all the decals are on it and some panel lines and stuff. But we'll see. I might just leave it. It looks pretty good once you back it up a few feet. You don't really even notice it anymore. And I don't want the clear to make the silver look stupid, so I might not clear it. But we'll see. I'm going to try a practice panel off the airplane and see what it does. But overall, pretty happy with how it looks. I still have to paint a black lip around the inlet, and it needs the exhaust cones, but I already made the battery tray, and I just weighed it. It's going to be 8 3/4 pound with a 7000, so the paint didn't add too much weight, just a few ounces, which honestly isn't terrible. And I'm still under 9 pounds, so when that's with a 7000, I could actually run a 6250 and get it back to 8.5 pounds if I really felt like it needed it. But definitely a cool looking airplane. I really like the looks. It's more sleeker. It's sleeker looking than an F-18. It's skinnier, and it just has a more sporty look to it. It's not so I don't want to say an F-18's chunky, because it's not, but it's definitely got a more lean look to it compared to an F-18, which I like. It fits the Air Force motto a little bit more than the Navy standard, where everything's super beefy. So hopefully it ends up flying really well. I guess we'll probably just leave this video here. The next video you'll see after this one will be the airplane fully finished and ready to fly. Still lots of little stuff to do. I've got to put the gear back in it and some details. I'm going to put some panel lines on it, stuff like that, just to kind of break up. It is a pretty plain scheme, but yeah, super stoked about it. And it's neat doing projects like this because I did know about the YF17 obviously, but when you start a project you tend to do research on it, learn new things, and it's been cool kind of like researching the YF17 and the program and everything else. And it'll be fun to educate people when this comes out in public on the history of the YF17 and how it actually came before the F-18. And yeah, because this, and honestly, I was just thinking earlier, I don't think I've ever seen a model of a YF-17. I might have seen a F-18 painted like a YF-17, but there are a number of differences. It's not the same airplane. It doesn't share any parts with an F-18 whatsoever. It's smaller, it's sleeker, and so it is not the same airplane, even though it's very similar in platform, but not the same mission, not the same manufacturer. So lots of differences, even though in general, yes, it looks like an F-18, but pretty excited about it. I've kind of always wanted to do one, so hope this goes well, and hope I don't jack it up, because this has been way more work than I was anticipating. I figured, this will be a quick one, no big deal, slap this puppy together, and it's quite a few more hours than I was expecting, but at the end result's going to be worth it, hopefully, once it's all finished. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the update video on the YF17 Cobra, and we'll see you in the next one.